Hi, everyone. Meteorologist Bill Rentschler in the 1011 Now streaming studio. Hope everyone's having a nice Thursday morning. Dealt with some rain yesterday. Saw some good moisture across the area. Today, though, going to see dry weather. Should be pretty nice conditions, I think, for us for the day today and over the next couple of days. But we are going to be watching another round of some moisture going to be heading our way into early parts of the week next week. And again, still watching, still looking, still seeing signals for the potential for some wintry weather as we head into parts of next week as well. And that could come in the form of maybe some snowfall across the state. Certainly looking like we're going to see much colder conditions as we head into parts of the week next week. And again, we're going to continue to watch for that potential for some wintry weather and some wintry precipitation as well. But today is Thursday, and that means we're going to start off with the drought monitor. Again, we have seen some very beneficial rain over the past several weeks. So again, I've been looking to see some improvements in the drought monitor. Again, with what we had through the summer and into the early part of the fall season, we had seen drought conditions expand to cover the entire state. So this is what the drought monitor looked like last week. Again, you can see a good chunk of the state under severe drought conditions. We'd started to see some extreme drought continue to creep into the state. We had seen some improvements, especially into the far southeastern corner of the state with some of our recent rainfall. And so, again, this is what it looked like last week. But this is the most recent drought monitor that was released this morning. And, again, we did see some improvement, especially across the southwestern corner of the state. Not necessarily as much improvement as we'd like to see across the southeastern parts of the state and eastern parts of the state where we have severe drought across much of the area. But again, making a dent in the deficit. So, again, may not necessarily show up right away in the drought monitor, but, again, we are making gains and very much need them. It's been very beneficial over the last several weeks to see that moisture. But this is the most recent drought monitor that we've had released. If we look at the change map, again, here in Nebraska, the one area that we did really see improvement was the southwestern corner of the state. We did see far northeastern parts of the state get one category of drought worse, and that means they went from some severe drought, and now they actually have some extreme drought there. Across extreme northeastern Nebraska into parts of South Dakota, also still have some extreme drought down over near Madison, over near Norfolk in Madison County, as well as over into Antelope County as well, and still have some of that extreme drought up into the northwestern corner of the state. But now parts of southwestern Nebraska drought free. So again, that is some improvement in those areas, and again, much needed, and like to see those improvements and those changes. Still, though, not much change, though, for south central or southeastern sections of the state in terms of the drought monitor. Again, Lincoln still under severe drought conditions. So if you look at the drought status over the course of the last year, again, you can see things were going pretty good there for most of the last year. Again, it's been since late July, early August that we've really seen drought increase quite a bit across the state. We went from having over 75% of the state drought-free to recently, again, having the entire state under some sort of drought conditions. Now, with this most recent update, we do have at least a small percentage, about 6% of the state there in the southwestern corner with no drought conditions. So we'll absolutely take that. Still have about 9% of the state under extreme drought. That's been a growing percentage slowly over the past several weeks. About 62% of the state under severe drought conditions, about 15% of the state under moderate drought, and just about 8.25% that are just under some abnormally dry conditions. So again, about 95% of the state still covered with some sort of drought. But again, we did see some improvement, and again, we'll likely continue to see some additional improvements as we look forward to the drought monitor next week. Again, the data cutoff is Tuesday morning. So again, what we saw yesterday not included in this most recent drought monitor, but the moisture that we could see, especially into Monday of next week, would be included in the drought monitor that we see released next week. So that is something, again, we'll continue to keep a close eye on and look forward to monitor. So if you look at nationally, drought conditions, again, this is the most recent drought monitor that was released. Still have a couple areas that we've continued to watch over the last several weeks and months. One of those being across parts of southeastern Ohio into West Virginia. They have some severe and exceptional drought. Continue to see some exceptional drought expand across parts of southwest Texas, down near El Paso, along the border, and then across the high plains where we have areas of severe and extreme drought across parts of eastern Wyoming, again, into the Nebraska Panhandle, into the Dakotas and parts of eastern Montana as well. We've seen some of those areas continue to get a little bit worse over the course of the last several weeks and months. But if you look at the national change map, again, you can see across much of the plains, down to the southern plains, we have seen at least some improvement this week compared to last week. Areas that have gotten worse are down across the parts of the southeast. Again, parts of the country that got hit by Hurricane Helene, again, they had seen drought conditions basically evaporate, but now have seen some dry conditions over the last several weeks, so those drought conditions beginning to return. Also, again, south and southwest Texas, and then across parts of Arizona and California and Nevada, I've seen some of those drought conditions worsen just a little bit over the course of the last week. But again, we are looking forward to some additional moisture heading our way through the week next week that will hopefully continue to put a dent in those drought conditions. You look at the national drought status over the course of the last year. Again, you go back to middle of the summer is kind of when we hit our floor in terms of our drought. We've seen some drought continue to expand, though, over the last several months. Now have about 17% of the country that's drought-free. Still just small percentages of the country under any extreme or exceptional drought. Just a little less than 5% combined between those two categories. So that is at least some good news there. Checking out the Lincoln Weather Almanac. Again, yesterday topped out at 51 with a low of 40. So again, our high was close to normal. Our low was still above average. Officially had 21 hundredths of an inch of rain yesterday. I think we also had 4 hundredths, I believe, on Tuesday. So with our most recent rainfall event, we had around a quarter inch at the Lincoln Airport. Areas in town certainly saw more. I think here at the 1011 Studios, we had about 3/4 of an inch. Again, if you look at the Tempest weather stations, there was a pretty decent amount for much of central Lincoln, the middle parts of the metro, that saw anywhere between half an inch to even up to an inch of moisture, but just not as much across the western parts of town. And again, that does include the Lincoln Airport. But again, for the month, over 2 inches of rainfall this November, which again is pretty good. Again, we average about 1.25 inches of liquid precipitation through the entire month of November. So again, doing good there. And again, it put a good dent in our deficit. If you go back just a few weeks, our precipitation deficit was over 3 inches, and now it's just a little over 1.25 inches. And again, I think we'll put another good dent in that as we head into the week next week. You'll notice on the snowfall almanac, already again about midway through November, 1.5 inches below normal for our snowfall. Again, like I've said, there are some signs and signals, though, that we could potentially see some snow as we head into the week next week. Your weather headlines as we head into the day: sunshine and mild weather, and I think that will continue as we head into Friday and Saturday, but we're going to be dealing with more wind both of those days, so that will be something to watch out for. And like I've already hinted at a couple times, we are going to be watching, again, for the potential for rain and maybe some snow as we head into the week next week. Again, still too early to nail down any potential amounts or necessarily placement of that snow. We'll talk about that in just a second as models still have some pretty big differences that that they have to resolve in terms of that potential snow. So this is a look at sky views from across the state. Again, there's some high cloud cover out there, but overall sunshine as we start our Thursday. In Lincoln, temperatures warming up a little bit. We're into the upper 30s at the airport, 37 here in Midtown Lincoln with a calm wind out there right now. Look at temperatures across the Lincoln Metro, generally sitting in the mid to upper 30s. There's a couple 40s on the board there, but again, a little bit of a chilly start to our day today. But again, still seeing temperatures maybe a few degrees above normal. Again, our normal lows are down into the 20s now, and not quite that cold this morning here in Lincoln. Across the state, seeing temperatures generally in the mid to upper 30s. There's a few 40s on the board right now. Fall City's at 41. Omaha and Tacoma are at 40. Alliance is the warm spot. They're at 42 degrees this morning, and not much wind out there today after a breezy day yesterday as that area of low pressure spun its way through the state. Especially on the back end, we had some breezy winds out of the north and northwest with some gusts between 30 and 40 miles an hour at times. Satellite radar picture is quiet. Again, there's a few high clouds out there. Again, looks a little bit worse than it is for the western half of the state. This is a look at the visible satellite imagery, and again, you can really see the high cloud cover. Again, sun's still able to get through some of that high cloud cover, and we still see that deep snowpack that's on the ground across parts of the plains in eastern Colorado. Again, they recently had several feet of snow in those areas, and they're still working on melting off some of that snow. So things are pretty quiet on the satellite and radar composite. You zoom out, look at a regional view. Again, overall things are quiet. Have scattered rain across parts of the Great Lakes down to the Ohio Valley. You zoom out, look at a national view, and that scattered rain stretches all the way down into parts of the Carolinas and down into parts of Georgia as well. But overall, right now, again, things are generally fairly quiet. We are keeping an eye, again, down in the Caribbean. There is Tropical Depression 19, I believe is what it is, forecast to eventually become Tropical Storm Sarah and potentially Hurricane Sarah as we head over the next couple days. Right now, it doesn't look like it'd be a threat to the U.S. coastline, but that is a storm that we'll continue to keep a close eye on as we head over the next couple days. Not quite done with hurricane season just yet. If you look at weather alerts, not a whole lot going on. There's a couple dense fog advisories there in parts of North Dakota, wind advisory in Montana, some winter weather advisories in the mountains out in California, but again here at home, quiet weather expected as we head through the day today. So if we check out Skycast, not a lot to talk about for the day on Thursday. Again, there's going to be some high cloud cover out there, but overall things should be fairly quiet for us as we head through the balance of the day today, and then as we head into the day on Friday. Again, some high cloud cover out there at times, but overall we should be looking at generally sunny skies, a little bit more of a breeze, I think, as we head into Friday. Winds out of the south and southeast, 10 to 20, gusting maybe to 30 miles an hour, a little bit stronger in the western sections of the state. Friday evening, again, a little bit of cloud cover out there, but generally dry. And then Friday into Saturday, kind of more of the same, dealing with that little bit of a breezy southeast wind, and that'll help drive temperatures a few degrees above average for us, but generally dry. A few clouds, though, as we head through the day on your Saturday. Things begin to change, though, as we head Saturday into Sunday and then into early next week as our next system begins to approach the area. And if you look at the 7-day precipitation potential, you can see that next system right now has its sights set, again, across central Kansas into the eastern half of Nebraska and then up in the eastern parts of the Dakotas and Minnesota. Rainfall potential, or I should say liquid precipitation potential, again, across these areas. Anywhere, again, in those blue and purpley areas, between maybe 1.5 to 2 to 2.5 inches of moisture being possible at this time over the course of the next 7 days. And this could envelop two different systems that move through the area. One, again, Sunday into Monday of next week, and then another one towards the middle part of the week next week. So if we to look at the long-range models and some of the differences that they have in those long-range forecasts, and this is why, again, we say there are signs and signals, so we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves just yet. But this is the European model. And again, this is starting at 5 o'clock Saturday evening. You'll already notice it's a little different than our in-house model. It has a little bit of moisture there in far southeastern Nebraska Saturday afternoon. I don't think that's a really great chance at this point, but again, that is in the model. But overall, Saturday into Sunday, things generally stay fairly quiet for us. But into the day Sunday and then Monday, that next system begins to push up from the south. So as we head Sunday evening into the overnight hours into the day on Monday, that's when rain is expected to move into the area. And this is 5 o'clock Monday evening, and you can see fairly widespread rainfall across the state, and cold enough that, again, the European model is showing maybe some wet snow mixing in at times across parts of the Sandhills and western Nebraska on Monday. But this first system looks like it would be warm enough that it would mainly be just rain for most of the state. It moves out of the area as we head Monday into Tuesday, but then the European model, again, gives us a little bit of break as we head Tuesday into Wednesday, but then another system heads our way as we head Wednesday into Thursday. The second system bringing with it much colder air and plenty of moisture with it, and it does have, you can see by Thursday at 5 o'clock, snow across parts of central and eastern Nebraska and then over the border into parts of western Iowa. So again, the big difference being that this long-range European model has that second system. So if we look at the American GFS model, again, Saturday into Sunday stays pretty quiet. But then Sunday into Monday, it brings in that first system that we just saw with the European model. You can see by about 4 or 5 o'clock Monday, like the European model, widespread rain across the state, warm enough system that we're really mainly dealing with just rain. That system then again quickly moves out of the area, a little bit of a break Tuesday into Wednesday, and then the American model doesn't even really have that second system. It kind of has some moisture wrapping around on the back end of that first system across parts of the Great Lakes up into Minnesota, Iowa, and it does have some snow into parts of Missouri. But again, really no snow for us here across anywhere in the state of Nebraska. So again, that's the big difference right now, is that European model has that second system. The American model right now doesn't have that second system moving through. So if you look at the snowfall potential, again, this is over the course of the next week or so. Again, the European model has snow across a good chunk of the state and some heavier amounts for parts of southern and eastern sections of the state, while the GFS model, again, doesn't really have anything. So again, still some pretty big differences that these models still have to resolve. There are signs and signals that it's possible, higher confidence that we're going to see a push of colder air. And again, with the colder air in place, we just need a little bit of moisture, and get a little bit of moisture in the colder air, that's where we could see some of that snowfall. But again, still a lot of differences to flesh out. But again, the signs or signals are there. So again, make sure you keep up with the forecast and keep up with the latest details as we get closer, because again, forecast is likely to change still 100 different ways between now and this time next week. As far as temperatures are concerned, again, for the day today, should be a little bit warmer than what we had yesterday. We're looking at low to mid 60s across much of the state. Coolest readings are going to be in the extreme eastern parts of the state along the border. They'll look for mid to upper 50s from Falls City up towards Omaha and then up towards Wayne. But most of the 10-11 coverage area looking at low to mid 60s for the afternoon today. Tomorrow morning, again, another cool morning, chilly morning, mid-20s to mid-30s from west to east across the state. And then tomorrow, again, for the eastern half of the state, still looking at low to mid-60s. Western half of the state, a little bit cooler. We'll say mid-50s to low 60s for Friday afternoon. Saturday morning, much milder, especially for the eastern part of the state with that breezy south wind sticking through the overnight hours. Lows will be in the low to mid 40s with some upper 20s to upper 30s in the west. Saturday afternoon, again, it's upper 50s to low to mid 60s for most of the 10-11 coverage area. Into Sunday morning, anywhere from the low 20s to the low 40s, and then the cooler air begins to arrive as we head into Sunday. Temperatures a little bit closer to normal in the lower to middle 50s across the state to finish the weekend. But again, generally dry as we head between now and Sunday. It's going to be Sunday into Monday that we start to see those rainfall chances arrive. Check out the 7-day forecast. Again, low to mid 60s today, Friday, Saturday. Looking at breezy winds Friday, Saturday. Not as breezy on Sunday. And then low 50s for Monday. Upper 40s for Tuesday, and right now we're going with highs only in the upper 30s on next Wednesday, but with windy conditions expected, it will likely feel much colder than that. 40% chance for moisture on Monday, 30% Tuesday. Again, likely going to see that 40% on Monday continue to grow higher. And that 30% you'll notice on Wednesday has rain and snow possible for us here in Lincoln. But again, we just looked at those long-range models. We still have a lot of differences to try and flesh out with those. But so that will likely change between now and this time next week. So keep tuned for details. As far as the 10-day forecast is concerned for select cities across the state in terms of high temperatures, you'll notice a distinct difference there. First half of the 10-day period, again, we're looking at generally low 50s to low to mid 60s, but through much of next week and into next weekend, we're looking at highs in the 30s and 40s. So again, that first real push of colder air arriving as we head into the week next week, have much higher confidence in the colder air arriving than we do for the potential of any snow across the area. So definitely think it's going to get colder. It's just whether or not we can get some moisture to come with it when it does get a little bit colder. As far as precip chances are concerned, again, you can see we're generally dry as we head through the weekend. Monday, though, is when we see that chance for more widespread rainfall across the state, and then we'll keep those chances for moisture in play as we head through the week next week. And again, like we've already discussed and said several times, some of that moisture could come in the form of some wintry precipitation through the week next week. 8 to 14-day temperature outlook. This takes us November 21st through November 27th. Again, so that is taking us closer to the Thanksgiving holiday. But again, right now, not clear signals, strong signals, but tend to favor for most of the area below normal temperatures, and we're still favoring, at least for the northern half of the state, above average precipitation as well. So again, that's the long-range temperature and precip outlook. The long-range hazard outlook, again, from the National Weather Service, not worried about excessive heat. Every precipitation, there is a slight risk across the New England area. No concerns for the rapid onset of drought. Yesterday when we looked at this, the slight risk for heavy snow was across the high plains into Nebraska. Today, though, it's now across the Great Lakes, where they actually have a slight and moderate risk across the Great Lakes into parts of New England and upstate New York. So again, that's a shift from yesterday. But again, this is November 21st through November 27th. That threat for some snow for us would probably be very early in this 8 to 14-day period. And then high winds, again, slight and moderate risk across much of the Great Lakes into the Ohio Valley, but much of the eastern half of the country, looking at the potential at least for some high winds through that time frame. And then as far as below average temperatures, the southern plains looking at a slight to moderate risk for below average temperatures through this time frame across late November time frame across the southern plains. So that's something we'll keep an eye on. But again, a lot to look at. Things are pretty quiet for us, at least over the next several days. But again, early next week, things get busy, and then they likely stay busy through much of the week next week. That chance of rain early in the week, potentially another chance for some rain and maybe some snow across the state towards the middle part of the week next week as well. So we'll continue to watch it. We'll continue to follow it. We'll continue to give you updates as we learn more. Again, like I said, that forecast is going to change 100 different ways before we get to next week. So make sure you keep up with the very latest. So appreciate everyone for tuning in and watching and hanging out with us for just a little bit as we go through things. Yeah, we'll keep it tuned to 1011. We'll continue to update you with the latest. So appreciate everyone for tuning in and for watching as always. Until next time, hope everyone has a nice Thursday.